Hello, everyone. Today's workshop is using your Sawgrass sublimation printer to create some personalized, one-of-a-kind gifts. I went with a theme for today's workshop. No matter what type of gifts you're trying to create, I thought like a theme would be fun. And I'm right outside of DC in Northern Virginia, and the new pandas just came to the National Zoo. So when they're available to go visit, we want to make a trip up there with our family. So I thought sort of an experience and gift items kind of ties everything together. So I thought the experience of going to see the pandas along with gifts that are panda themed would be fun. Now you may incorporate this to be a profession. So let's say you're making gifts for somebody who's a nurse, and instead of doing a panda theme, you could do a nurse theme. Or if you want to do hobbies, like somebody is a book lover, you could take these same ideas and just use a book theme instead of a panda theme. Somebody who's a cook, you could just alternate and switch out panda for chef items. So anything that you're wanting to create, you can use all the tools and skills that we go over today to create those. Now, just to talk a minute about sublimation, the Sawgrass, I have the SG 1000 printer here with Sawgrass, and this is a printer dedicated to sublimation printing. So sublimation ink is different than your regular printer ink. The sublimation ink is designed that when it is heated up with, say, a mug press or an oven or a flat press, that ink is released from the paper and transfers onto your blank. So today's blanks, we're going to work on a tote bag and a mug, some pens, and some coasters. So when I print out something from the SG 5000, I use the Sawgrass ink software. It's called My Sawgrass. And then I use the Sawgrass printer operation to actually print out the item. Excuse me. So sometimes it prints out a little bit duller than you expect it to print. And that's because when the ink is heated up and it transfers onto your blank, that color will become super vibrant and super clear. So like here's an example of a Halloween mug. This had a very light, dull look, but once it's heated up, it becomes very vibrant and very full. So that's how the sublimation process works. You print it out on a sublimation printer with special sublimation ink on sublimation paper, and then you use a heat source to heat that up and transfer the ink from the paper to your heat source. Now, your blank items need to be prepped for sublimation. So by prep for sublimation, it's not always something that I do. For example, my mug already has the coating on it for sublimation. So this is a sublimation mug, and it already has like a polyester coating on it to accept that ink transfer. So you can't just use any old mug. It needs to be a mug that is designed for sublimation. Also, when we're talking about working with fabrics, I'm using a polyester tote bag here to transfer. So you have to have 100% polyester item for that color transfer to work. You can transfer onto a cotton using Caesar's Subli vinyl. That will work. Or just knowing that if you're transferring onto something that's not 100% polyester, you won't get 100% coverage because the ink only wraps around those polyester fibers. It does not wrap around cotton fibers. So if you're working with a shirt that's 50-50, 50% of that color will transfer and 50% of it will not. So you'll get like a duller look. So you can choose to do that, but just know that that's kind of how it comes out. So let's talk about, I want to go into the Sawgrass software first. So I'll share my screen and I'll show you how to build a mug design. Now I do already have my panda design cut and printed out, but I'm going to show you how you can create a design, any kind of design in the sublimation, in the My Sawgrass software. So when you come onto the landing page of sawgrassinc.com, you want to click on the My Sawgrass. And this takes you to your individual landing page, if you will. So you want to make sure that you're logged in and ready to go, and then you click Design. Now, the Sawgrass product catalog has thousands of blank items that you can choose to work with, or you can create your own. For this one, I'm going to use the 15-ounce ceramic mug, and if I want to make sure on my measurements, I can click that information page and my measurement information will pop up. So I'll know what size the design is going to print out and if that correlates with the size of my mug. In this case, it does. So I'll go ahead and use that 15-ounce mug. Now, I can upload my own files and design the mug with images I've created or I've purchased elsewhere. You can upload those PNG files right into the software, or you can use designs that are available for you to use. You'll notice some of the designs have this little diamond next to it. I'm going to come into the Christmas crew since we're getting ready for the holidays. The designs that have the diamond are for if you've purchased the monthly program, and that gives you access to all of the images. And when you use images in the Sawgrass software, they've already done all the legwork for you, and you are able to use these images and sell the images as you need. Now, the images come in individually, so you can change the colors if you want to just by clicking on them and changing the colors. If you want to change a name, you can certainly change the name on the mug. So you just click on that layer and you can, voila, change the name right there. Let's see if I do, like, maybe I want to do Virginia. Like I can just change that up and make a mug for each person in my family. So once that's on there, I can also grab the whole image and resize it if I'd like to make it a little bit smaller. I can also put two on my mug. So if I want one on one side, I can copy and paste. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Let's delete that out of there. Oh, I was in the text. That's why that did that. Sorry about that. Okay, I can capture the whole image there and copy that image and paste that image. Now I can line that up onto my mug. So I've got both of my images on my mug. It will wrap around the handle. So I want to move this one like right about there. So that will wrap around. Now, once you're happy with your colors, the names, anything that you need to have on there, it is 0.71 inches. Looks okay, same size. It looked a little different on my screen for me. Then I can either save this image if I want to resell it. If I'm creating a bunch of these mugs and I have one for sample and I'm going to a market and I want to resell it, I can just save it and swap out the names. Or if I'm having, like if you're having a hot cocoa party, you could have an event where you're making the mugs as you go along at the hot cocoa party, so everybody gets their own personalized mug. While that's processing through, it just takes a minute to think for itself there. While that's processing through, since I already have a mug and a print ready to go, I'm going to go to my overhead camera and we'll show you how to wrap your mug and prep your mug so that you can put it in a mug press. Now, with a mug, you can either put it in a mug press that you have dedicated for mugs, or you can put it in your oven. Either way will work. Since I have the mug press, you may have a mug press as well. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on and let that start to get heated up. And then we'll swap over to the overhead camera here where I've got my print ready to go and I've got my mug. So the first thing I need to do is clean my mug and make sure there's no little pieces of linen or anything like that on the mug itself. So I have a container that I have alcohol in, and I have these lint-free little cloths that I got. You can use a coffee filter. I got these so long ago. I don't even remember exactly where I got them from, but you can use a coffee filter if you need something that is lint-free. And then we're just going to come on the mug and clean it off so we have a nice surface to work with. So you just want to make sure that there's no little lint hairs in there, no pet hairs if you have pets hanging around, anything like that. You want to make sure all of that is off the mug. Let me just double check something. Oh, I may have the wrong mug press here. Or the wrong mug. Let me grab, I think my mug is just a little bit bigger than I was thinking it was. I need to grab a different mug. Okay. So we are going to swap this out. And I need a skinnier mug to go in here, which will that still work? On my pre-printed design? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to swap out. This one's a little bit bigger and it needs to go in the oven. I want to show you all how to use the oven the mug press. So we're going to use this design here. Now, you may be thinking like, Kathleen, that is a black mug, and that's not going to work for your design. It will. This is a Sublimation mug. So it says Sublimation Mug on it. It's from Make Market, and it's a color changing mug. So what is so cool and fun, I did this mug a lot for Halloween. When it's heated up, the mug itself turns clear and you can see the design. So all this black will go away and you can see the design. And you'll be able to see it when it comes out of the mug press. So we're just going to clean that right off like that. Okay, and then once I've got that cleaned off, I like to do my mug upside down when I'm putting the wrap around it. So I put it upside down, and that way I have a nice hard surface to work with. And then I can just take my design. So I'm going to use this little panda design, and I'll turn it upside down. Now I'm going to match kind of the center of the design with the center of the handle. So we're just going to match that up like that and bring it around the front of the design. And then you can just double check that it all works together. And you have about the same space on either side of the handle. Now, one thing about this particular mug, you do not want your tape on the black part of the mug. It will peel on you, like it'll peel the paint off of your mug. So for this particular mug, I'm going to begin taping it at the top and the bottom of the design. So I'll tape it at the top there and the bottom down here. I will not tape it between the handles, which normally I do that. But on this one, I learned it peels that off and then it leaves it blank. So you don't want to do that. Now I'll just give it a nice tug there and make sure I've got it nice and tight around my mug. And again, I'm going to tape it on the bottom here, and then I'll go back to the top and tape it on the top. Now this design I did get from Creative Fabrica. So if you're interested in grabbing this design, it's on Creative Fabrica, which is a monthly, you pay for it monthly, but it gives you lots of fun designs that you can use, and you have the commercial use of those designs as well. So lots of options for you to use the commercial images. Okay, so once I've got this taped, usually we'll tape around the top of your design so that it holds it all together and you don't have any air in between there. You want that to sit really nice and tight on your design. So I run my hand back around it, and then I'll do the same thing here. Now I used small pieces, but you can also grab a long piece of your tape and do just a long piece like this if you want. But again, I'm going to cut it short so it doesn't go all the way onto the design there. Now, once I have that taped on, I still have this space here. So I want to make sure that I use my butcher paper and I wrap my design with my butcher paper. So I'm just going to take a sheet of butcher paper. I'm going to wrap that up. It doesn't have to be, your butcher paper doesn't have to be perfect. So I can just take my butcher paper, I'll put in my paper trimmer, make sure it's the right height of my mug. I can let it hang over a little bit, like this. We're just going to trim that down a bit. Now, if you happen to have like a Cricut machine or something like that, you can also cut your design so that you have the little pieces here that overlap. But I'm going to take my scissors and just cut this down right here in the middle. A little bit here like that. So that can go right across in the middle like that. And I'll tape it on that side there. Now I can pull that a bit more and hold that edge down. When you put it in the mug press, it does go pretty tight on the mug press. So you don't have to worry too much about that edge using the mug press, but it's always good to have it a little bit tight down if you can. And the other reason you put the butcher paper on is that your design will actually, it could come through and cause bleeding. So you want to make sure you have your mug wrapped, your design nicely wrapped so that it doesn't come off on your machine. Okay, so we're just going to kind of tuck that. I'll put another little piece of tape right there. And we can just go with that. We'll put it in the top. You don't have to tape it around the top and the bottom. If you want to put a little piece of tape there, you certainly can, but you just want to make sure you've got it, everything sealed in there so that it's pressing against your design is taped on and it's ready to go. I can go ahead and swap it into my press here. I've got my mug press is ready to go. It's all heated up. I just need to put the mug in, and when I put the mug in, I kind of tilt it towards me this way, and then I put it in, and you want to make sure that the handle is in the center. So the handle and that little edge there will not have heat to it. And then you just want to kind of guide it, keep the handle in the center as you close it. I'm just looking from the top here. I want to try a good closure all around. Now, once it's closed in there, the little dots on the top will show the progression of the design as I go across. Okay, so while that's heating up, I'm going to go back into the software here. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, got an error message there. Let me see if I refresh this. It'll put me back in, or if I have to go back in. Okay. Let's grab that. Okay. What I want to do is show you all how it goes across when you send it to your printer and how your printmate will work to help you in making sure your items are mirrored and they're ready to go. Let's see, I think it was in this one, Christmas Crew. See this one. And I'm going to change that name again. Actually, I don't have to change the name. I can leave the name the same. But we'll leave that right in the center. And then I'm just going to go up and print this. And let's see if it'll come across for me. Saving it. Okay. And then I hit print file. And it should go over, like you can kind of close out of that and you'll see it usually going over. Let's double check. Right. I was like, am I not hooked up? I am hooked up. Okay. So let's give that a minute to work its magic and get the PrintMate software opened up. Okay. Okay, so let's share my screen again so you guys can see how it kind of comes across. Am I sharing? Okay, let's share screen. Here we go. Okay, so this is the print utility, and there's my design right there. You can move it on the page if you want. You can add multiple images onto a page by adding a repeat. But what I really want to show you is how to choose what you're printing onto. So for this one, for example, I would be printing on ceramic drinkware. So I'm going to choose the ceramic drinkware, and you notice that the image is mirrored. So you want it to be mirrored. And then if you printing something with a photograph, you can choose the photographic color mode, or if it's an image like this one, you would choose the vibrant color mode. And if you wanted to go in and make sure that it had enough saturation, enough color, you can change and adjust your hue and your saturation here and give it a little bit of a custom look. And then as you scroll down on the general tab, you can make sure that it's mirrored, that you're printing it on the right item. So, oops, canvas tote bag. I wanted a ceramic drinkware. There we go. Not a frosted glass. My fingers must be jumping around today. The ceramic drinkware, and then it changes the product to ceramic. It will print on letter size, and then you simply click print and it prints it out. If I go back and show you some of the other ones, not that one, there we go, I think it's this one. This is not that one. I thought I had the panda one set up so you could see the panda one going. Okay, so this is almost done. I'm gonna make sure I have my gloves on and something to put this on as I bring it out of the oven. I'll put it on this little just a little hot pad here because it does come out really, really hot, and you have to be careful that you don't burn yourself as it's coming out. You also want to make sure you vent the area you're working in so that if there's any fumes or anything like that, it's going out the window instead of coming in. So before this finishes up, couple questions that are coming up and to answer about making mugs. Like I said, you can use a mug press. You have the Cricut mug press and the Craft Express mug press at Michael's. You can also use the oven. If you're just going to be making mugs and skinny little short things, your mug press is perfect, and it's nice and compact. So if this is a side hustle, you could take this with you to a market and make mugs on demand. Take your printer and your mug press. You can have an on-demand mug station, which would be super fun during the holidays. The oven, it takes a little bit longer, not too much longer in comparison time-wise, but it does allow you to do a lot more items. So you'll see when we get to the oven that you can really put almost anything that fits in there into the oven. So the oven does give you more flexibility to do a lot more items than just the mug press. So it just depends. Like, this is a great starter piece. So if you're just getting started doing things, the mug press might be an easy and a good way to get started. And then you can always upgrade to the oven. Okay, so this beeped, it's ready to go. I just open the top there. You see how that's smoke coming out? And then we're just gonna bring this over and let's remove the design on here. And we'll just go to the overhead camera so that we can do that. Now you'll see that you can see the design kind of coming through there. Let's get those gloves on here so that lets me know through. I also want you to see it while it's hot, so you can see that black that's cleared away. So see, our black is cleared away. And then we can just start removing this. And it's okay if you tear your paper. I do like to take my design off right away rather than waiting for it to totally cool. If you have like a weeding tool, that's a good thing to have handy to remove your paper, but you want to make sure that you're not scraping your ceramic because it can scratch your ceramic design. Okay, so look at that, how it changed from the black mug, and now it has that cute little panda on there. And we are ready to go drink hot cocoa and go walk around the zoo or just have a fun evening watching the panda cam. And I kind of like that it's a black and white mug, actually, as it turns out. So that is a really fun and easy design that you can do. Now, what if, though, you don't want, you have a coffee table and you don't want anybody to scratch up your coffee table. So you need a little coaster to go with this coffee mug design. Make Market has these sublimation coasters. These are ceramic coasters, and they're 3 3 3/4 inches square. So I cut my design is a little bit bigger than 3 3/4 inch square. When you take these out, you'll notice that they also have the cork piece that goes on the back side of it. So this makes a really awesome gift to give somebody, a set of coasters and a mug and an experience. Now it does tell you the heat settings on the back. So it's 356 for 120 seconds. Now I'm going to go ahead and use my large press for this one. I don't know if I can show you how this one works. I just am going to turn this one on right here. And let's see if I slide it over here so you see a little bit better. I can move this guy out of the way. We're done with him. I have to make sure I don't have too many hot items going at the same time. So I'll just take my temperature and it's at 400. I'm going to bring that down to 375. And my time is, when I say 120 seconds. So I'll increase my time here to 120 seconds. That's like 2 minutes. 120 seconds is 2 minutes. So it does give you, you do need to have it in there for quite a while. It's not like a quick 10-minute thing. Okay, so 120 seconds, we'll let that heat up. And while that's heating up, if we can go back to the overhead, Felicia, sorry to make you jump around so much today. We'll go ahead and get our ceramic tile here squared away. Square tile squared away. We'll get this set up to sublimate on this. Now, again, I did mirror my image because you're putting your image on backwards. So you want to mirror your image. And we're just going to, again, use that alcohol and give myself a nice clean surface here. So just give it a good wipe. The nice thing about using alcohol like over a window cleaner or something like that, it does dry quickly. So that's a good benefit there that it dries so quickly. And then we have our little tape here. Now it does have, I put a little extra, I left some of the paper on the border so I could put it, tape it down to it. So as you can see, there's just a little bit of extra around the edge of the gray, not very much at all, just a little hair extra. And then I'm just going to take my tape and we'll put that on like this. Now you can do the ceramic pieces in an easy press, using the easy press and with medium to hard pressure. That would certainly work for you. Let's just make sure. It looks like I can scoot them over just a little bit more to the left. And another trick I use if I'm trying to line something up perfectly, I will use my light box so I can see the item underneath it kind of peeking out. And I'll use my light box like that. So here we go here. All right. Now, the thing that's important about this, as well as what we did with the mug, where we put the I always think of it as a sublimation sandwich. So you want to use your butcher paper, and if you do it on the bottom, you put your item in, turn it over so you've got your sublimation paper on the top, and then we're going to put it into the heat press when it's hot, like this. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside as our heat press is heating up, and then I'm going to prep another item we're going to make today, which is a really fun item. Let me grab this from behind me here. So to go along with my zoo trip, I have some pens. Now you can add a name to your pen if you want. You can use just an all over fun design. That's what I'm going to do here. And lots of ways that you can just have fun with the pens. What you need to do is remove the guts of the pen. So we take out all the metal part and the plastic part. So you're just left with the ceramic coating. And as you can see, my designs are plenty long enough to fill up my pen. And you can do these, like if you want to do, if you're doing a family night of making a Christmas wish list night, maybe you want to have pens with everybody with a cute little Christmas theme on it, so they can write out their Christmas wish list. All you have to do is take your strips of pattern. So we'll just cut out some strips of pattern here and just use all these different strips. Again, I went with that zoo theme, but if you've got, there's adorable little, you can do a nurse theme, you can do college, school, teacher. These make great teacher gifts. If you want to do a clipboard for your teacher or a notebook for the teacher, sublimate that. Very fun to kind of match this all together. And I loved how these were, the colors of these. So we're just going to take those off. And then when they come in the packages, you have a little shrink sleeve that comes with it. I somehow have misplaced my shrink sleeve. So we're going to kind of make up one as we go. Okay, so all we have to do is take our little pen. And what I like to do is put a little bit of tape on the back side of my paper, so that where it overlaps, it won't, I'll tape onto this overlapping side on the back. And hopefully you'll see what I mean in a second. You will have a little bit of a seam. It's almost unavoidable. But by doing this, it kind of makes your seam a little bit less obvious. So we just put a little tape on the back side there. You can trim that down if you want to, so that you've got like a nice clean edge there to work with. You just can trim that right down. And I've got a clean edge that I can work with now. And then I just take my pen and wrap it around. So this will be the outside part of it. This will be the inside, and it will match up and wrap. So I usually have a little bit of an overlap there, which I don't really worry about if it overlaps, because it's just a fun pen. So we're just going to wrap that right around. And then we're just going to seal that up. So see, it overlaps a bit there. I start in the center, and then I'm just going to work my way down. One trick, I do take time when you're doing these, do take the time to make sure your design isn't crooked on your pen. You want to make sure like it's going to go on nice and straight. So here we go here. Just going to wrap that right around. Nice and tight there. Okay, and then we can add a little bit more tape onto it and make sure that that's going to be a nice little seal as we go. Okay, I did hear my my other machine beep tell me it's hot enough, so we're ready to put that in. Okay, just put that there, and we'll come back and do another one of these in the 2 minutes it's going to take for our ceramic tile to go ahead and go. So let me put my ceramic tile. If we can jump back over to the front screen or to the front camera. Okay, so my drawer comes out and I just take my sublimation sandwich like this, and that goes right into the tray. The butcher paper on top will prevent any bleeding or anything like that of the color coming through. Then I just have to hit the button and it pushes down and it will hold that together. And Felicia, I see somebody has their hand raised. I don't know if you want to have them turn on their microphone and they can ask their question, or if you want them to put it in the Q&A.
Actually, it would be best for them to put it into the Q&A section.
Okay, great. So if you have a question, please do go ahead and pop that in the Q&A so we can answer that. Now this next one, I'm not going to put that extra little tape in this along the seam there. We're just gonna put that onto directly on over, let that overlap directly. And you'll see the difference if there is a difference. Sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can't see it. And sometimes you're seeing your designs will have a repeat that goes exactly to the edge, and that's where you really want to get your design matched up perfectly right edge to edge. And that just takes a little time. You can do it. I've done it. I think if I look at some of my pens, we should maybe take a closer look at those that I've already done. Okay, so I just put that on there like that. And then I'll just put another piece of tape right down the center here. And that will seal that right up for me. Now, while my tile is heating up, I'm just going to show you what we need to do. So, like I said, normally you would have these little packets that let's see, I have them here, that come with the pens. When you get them from Michael's, they'll have like a little sleeve like this that your pen slides in, and then you heat that up and you put that in the oven. I misplaced my sublimation sleeves somehow, so I was just going to make one up with a cut up piece. So we're gonna test that out. Okay, this one just popped out. It's done, and I'll pull it out and bring it back over to my overhead camera so we can see that how that looks. So my drawer just pops out. I'm going to grab it with my mitt, and then we'll bring it over to the overhead. Perfect. Thank you, Felicia. So you can see our panda is the color, the black is starting to show up, and this is starting to fade a little bit. And then I'm just going to peel this right off. Like that. And there's the little coaster that would match my mug. And that is so fun. I love that. You get the little black and white. I love the turquoise on this too. It's really pretty and gives you very holiday theme to go with it. All right, now while I have my printer, my flatbread heated up, we're gonna do one more in that, and then we'll go finish up the pens. The next one is the tote, and the tote is you can use any kind of tote that is polyester. So I have this bigger tote here, and I thought it'd be cute to put the little panda on one side and a fun little saying on the other. Life is too short to be anything but a panda. So if you're doing something and I'm going to show you one little technique that I like to do if I am pressing on fabric so that it doesn't give me a hard line. I will tear my paper like this, and then I won't have a hard line. I would normally do this side as well. I take my time and I'm very slow about it. So I don't want to do that and waste your time watching me do that. Now, when you do fabric, the first thing you're going to do is we are going to put this in the press and let it heat up. That will remove any moisture in the item. So if you're using, if you're doing like a shirt or anything like that, you want to make sure that there is no moisture in your garment. The moisture will prevent the garment from taking the sublimation. So we're going to put this in there, and I've got this, I want to make sure like this end part, I'm going to put that to the back and leave my handles kind of hanging out here. And we're just going to go ahead and push that down, and it takes just about 10 seconds is all you need to give it to get it started. So we'll just give it like 10 seconds there. Now, when I put my garment in here, it will be at 400 degrees for 45 to 50 seconds. So now that this is heated up, I will go ahead and heat up my press from 375 to 400 degrees, and I will take my time down to about 50 seconds. And it's, it varies. Since this is so thick, I am going to do the higher 50 seconds rather than the 40 seconds. So we'll take that to 50 seconds here. There we go. Okay, now this is has its press on it. It's ready to go. It's got any moisture taken out of it. And then I'm going to lay it back on my table, and I'll use a lint roller. Let me get a fresh little lint roller piece here, and I'm going, just like we put the alcohol on the ceramic items, I'm just going to use my lint roller here, and I want to make sure that I don't have any extra lint or pet hair or anything like that in between my design. Now, this bag is a little bit unique because it has a zipper, and I'm not able to pull the zipper out. So this is where my zipper is, right here. And my design needs to go right below the zipper into that seam. So I am going to add my press pad in between my layers. And that's because I want my, I want to give as flat a surface as possible for my design to fit on. So I'm going to fit that so my zipper kind of tucks right over that edge. And I have a very flat edge here to work on for my design. Now, finding the center, for this one, I'm just going to use the center of the handle to find the center of my bag. So if I go, the center of my handle is 7 inches, so 3.5 inches. No, it's not 7 inches. Is it 7 inches? 4 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, I meant 1 inch, 1 inch. 1 inch, right there's my center. So that's going to be my center of my design. So we'll just take our little panda. I know I've got a little bit of extra room here to go down and put that on the design. Now I can also look at my handle here and see that my design lines up with the handle, and it's below where the zipper is. So anything here, this is just extra paper. It's going to be below my zipper. And I'm going to do my very best to keep that zipper out of the design, but may not work. So I may get a little bit, may have it a little bit over that edge there. Let's just see. I'm going to pull it down just a hair. Okay, so it'll go right in there. Now I'm going to just put a little placement tape on here, so it'll hold it in place for me. And again, we're just going to put a piece of butcher paper on top to keep any bleeding from happening right there. And then this will go in for 50 seconds, 1 minute. And let me just get this little guy hooked on. Okay, if we want to go back, I'll put this in, show you how I get it in the press again. So I'm just going to hold this like this, and we're going to put it in the press. Go in. So I'm just going to kind of hold the handles out on this side here. I've got my zipper as flat as I can get it onto this side, onto that cushion there. It still is going to be a little bit of a lift. So that's why I picked a design that had like kind of a little bit of a lighter top there to fit into this design itself. So we're just going to slide that in and go ahead and let that press down. Now, while that's pressing down, let's go back to our pens and the sleeve. So if you don't have your sleeve that goes on your pens, and Felicia, I don't know if we're gonna, am I running out of time here? Oh no, I'm good. All right, so you use a heat gun, and I have my sleeve here, my little pen is here, and we're just going to, let's see, I think I want to go a little bit bigger on that piece. So we're just going to cut, I'm going to cut a little bit bigger on this side. I won't put this up. I may run out of my minute time here. Oh, yep, I did. Sorry. Okay. I'll grab the panda and we'll bring that back over to this workstation. You can stay right here. Bring that right over here and see how that worked out. So there's the panda. How cute is that? So as you can see, the design was intended. It does go a little bit fuzzy at the top when we grab the design to remind you of what it looked like. It does go a little bit fuzzy at the top. So having that little top part cut out was fine. Otherwise, it's so vibrant and cute. I could even put like a little, the person's name on the top or the date that we're going to go see the pandas or something like that. So let's say you're doing this for somebody who has sports events. You're making this bag for the football coach or the football mom. You could put the season of the game right on the top there like that. Very cute. Okay, so we got this one again. Now this side has our quote on it. And I'm just going to give myself that brush edge, and I'll go back and show you. You don't see any rough edges. And then we'll just put that right in the middle. I'll look at my handle here. Yep, nice in the middle, nice positioning. Okay, and then I'll just put two little holder pieces of tape right there to go on. I don't have to do too much. And then I need my butcher paper again. Oh, can you guys see that panda? So I'm going to get a fresh piece of butcher paper because I don't want to transfer that panda face on the back side. Then put a nice little fresh piece right there. And then I'm going to put that back in the oven. And since you guys saw it go in the oven in the press, first time, I'm just going to slide that in. We don't have to go to that camera, and then I'll come back and we'll do the wraps on our pens. Okay. So I went a little bit bigger on my pen wrap here. And what I'm going to do is just very loosely wrap that around my pen like that. Now I could clamp it here with some metal clamps if I wanted to. I think I'm just going to try a piece of tape and let's see if that shrinks it up for me. And the reason I do the shrink wrap, oops, we'll get this shrinking. Okay, so the reason that you do the shrink wrap on your pens or things that go in the oven, it's really to hold it in nice and tight so that your design doesn't slip around in the oven. So that's why we do it like that. Okay, so this now, let's take this off. Life is too short to be anything but a panda. Isn't that adorable? So, and you can see, I didn't really show very well the how the color transfers off of your paper onto your garment. So this was the starting color here, kind of dull, and then that's how it went down. So we started, let's see if I can get this in the camera frame. This was our starting, this was the print, and this is how it ended. So I could probably bump up my heat a little bit if I wanted to get it a little bit a little more color on there. If you want more color, you can increase your saturation, and you can also increase either the heat time or the amount of time you press it. But I'm really happy with the saturation on this. I think this turned out really cute. And I can take my little bag out, my zipper's ready to go. And then if I wanted to make an additional item as a gift, I could make a little tag on, if you have a zipper tag, or like you can hang a little tag on the side. But how cute is that? So when I go in the morning to go see the pandas, got my mug and my bag, and I'm ready to go. All right, last thing, I've got my press is heating up here. Let me push this out of the way. My oven is heating up, and I just push the timer to get it started, to start it heating up. And I need to have it at 350 degrees. So it needs to be a little bit hotter. Right now it's set at 324. So I need to change my upper to 350 degrees. And then I need to change the lower. Oops. I always forget how to do this. My time. Oh, that's right. My lower button. I always forget how to do that. Isn't that silly? So I'm gonna do it 4 to 6 minutes. So let me change my time here. We'll go down to like 5 minutes. And then I need to change my lower oven temperature to also be 350 degrees. Now, what's gonna happen is this is gonna start heating up. As soon as it's heated up, it will beep at me and tell me it's ready to go. So while that's heating up, I'm just gonna shrink this this little guy into the plastic wrap here. Okay, so we're just gonna, again, now normally you would have your little sleeve that you would tuck this in and then heat it up, but I somehow lost my sleeves. I'm sure they're in my craft space here somewhere. And I just used a little bit of tape on the edges here. Now my tape is, good question. My tape is heat tape. So it's not like your regular standard tape that you would use. It is a heat tape that can withstand the hot temperatures. So you can't just use regular tape or masking tape. And again, the reason that I shrink it up like this is so that that image on the paper is really tight on my thing. All right, so there we go. So it only takes like a second to hit that up, and it's nice and hot on there, and it's ready to go in. Now I will set these on a piece of butcher paper when they go in the oven like this, because the shrink wrap can kind of shrink onto your little tray that's in there. So I do put a little piece of butcher paper underneath them. And let me grab something to pull up closer so you guys can see what this is going to look like when they're done. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, so this one, like, you really can't see the seam. It's kind of right there, I think. But the pattern just goes all around. You don't really necessarily see the seam on that. There's the seam right there on this one. Now this one has a very distinct seam right there. But I don't know, it doesn't bother me because it's so, like, I don't think somebody's going to look at it that close. Like this one, you don't really see any seam. So I don't really necessarily think anybody's going to look at them that closely to see a seam or not. Okay, while that's heating up, let me double check. Are there any questions that I haven't answered? We'll make sure if you had a question, please do pop it in. Any questions you had? So let's go over some of the supplies I used. Good suggestions. So I have the pens, and you just take out the guts of your pens. You put it in the shrink sleeve, and then you use the heat gun to heat that up and shrink it in place. For the pens, I printed off the designs from, I got those on Creative Fabrica, and I just did a search for pen wrap, but you can use the designs in in the Sawgrass software too, in my Sawgrass. All right, I'm just gonna take these, I'm gonna put them in the oven, and you can see the timer has already started going down. Now, sometimes if you're doing something that's cylindrical like this, you might want to rotate it halfway through. I don't always do that. I don't necessarily see a difference in rotating it or not rotating it. So kind of play that by ear, how you want to do it. For the ceramic tiles, these are the Make Market ceramic tiles, and this is actually cooled down enough. I can show you the backing piece here. Let me go to the overhead camera and I'll show you this little part here. Get my mess cleaned up. Okay, so for this part of it, we just are going to take the back of the design, and it's got like a little, it's a little rougher side. I'll go ahead and give that a little cleaning. So I'll use my alcohol on the back side so it's nice and ready to receive the cork. So just kind of get that cleaned off. If there's any little hang-ups there, we can get that out of the way. And then all you do is just take your cork backing, it's got the adhesive on it. And if you're concerned about getting it straight and you just want to do a part of it, take a corner of it, pull it back like that, and you can just kind of position this part. As you can see, it's got a little bit of an overhang. So we'll just position the other parts of it, make sure everything's lined up, nice and even. And then where we've revealed the adhesive, we can put that down and then open it back up and take the adhesive the rest of the way off and pull down as you go. That way it won't get crooked and you're not dealing with a whole bunch of adhesive at one time. Now you do want to wait until you have done the complete sublimation before putting on the cork. I wouldn't recommend putting this through your heat press. So you want to make sure that that is on there and done. And then you can stack these up like this. There is a cute, I'm not sure if I saw it at Michael's, but there's a cute little stand that you can get that will hold up your coasters as you go. These are real, I love this little panda. He's so cute. But anything that is a gift, you can do it, again, like if it's a sports theme, you can do it sports theme, anything like that. And your information, the packaging information is on the back. It tells you how much to heat it for, whether you're using an easy press or you're using your t-shirt press kind of thing. And then our mug was, this cute little mug was a Sublimation mug from Make Market. And it's an 11.8 ounce mug. And it really does show up. So it is fun in the morning. We have like a Halloween one around here that like has a scary witchy face on it. So this is a great, I love this mug. I think if I were doing gifts that were a surprise for somebody, I would do the mug and then like have like a reveal of you're going to the zoo, might be fun. So is it true that you cannot sublimate in black? So this mug is a color changing mug. So when you put hot water on it, that mug will reveal the image. So this one I can sublimate on black. If you sublimate on like frosted glass or other colors, you do tend to get a little bit lighter result. This one is a cute little color drop candle or pencil holder. I would think like a little white candle wax in there would look really cute. If you're doing like the glitter sublimation, you do get a little bit of a different result on that versus doing the sublimation right on the metal. So like this one is a glitter one. The design is very detailed, but it really comes out cute. This one is just the metal with a very detailed design on the front of it. And then this one, so like you can see the difference between these two. This one I used a design that had a darker color on it versus this design here. So it kind of, it depends on what you're designing. But if you have, if your item tells you it's sublimation and it's black, then I would go for it. I'd give it a try. Okay, I'm going to pull this out and we'll look at our little pens here. Hopefully that my little system works. So it comes on a tray. This tray you can pull in and out of your oven. Oh, it's hot. You can pull that in and out of your oven. Now, this is a convection oven, so the air is moving around on the convection oven itself. And I would, if you use a convection oven, you must make sure that you are using a craft oven. So if you use an air fryer, which you can use, just want to make sure that you keep it an air fryer only for your crafting. So don't use your air fryer and then cook dinner in it. A little word of caution there. Let's just open those up. And these do cool pretty quickly. The metal cools quicker than the ceramic. So we'll just pull this right down. Everybody, if you want to let me know if you have a sublimation printer already, or if you're thinking about doing this, if anybody wants to pop in the chat or the Q&A and let me know, I think that would be great. And hopefully you've learned a lot. If you're new to this or if you're considering it, I really do love the sublimation, the flexibility, the different types of blanks you can make, how quickly you can make things. It really is a game changer, I think. Like you can use vinyl and you could take these little pens and put some vinyl design on it and that would be great, but not like you can with like a coaster with vinyl is way different than a coaster with your sublimation. I don't really want to use my scissors on here because I don't want to scrape it. We're just going to be patient and work it down. So I keep going for my scissors. I'm gonna have to use my scissors. Let's see. The design is adorable. Here we go. So if you ever have trouble getting if your sublimation paper sticks to your design, you can always just run it under the water and it under water with soap and water if you need to, and it will come right off. So if you leave it sitting there overnight and haven't peeled off your sublimation paper, it can kind of stick to your design. So just run under soap and water and it'll take it right out. But these little sleeves do harden pretty quickly, as you can see. Okay, I'm gonna get my weeding tool. I'm gonna do what I don't want to do. Give it a try. And the reason I don't want to do it is that it will, you can damage your metal. You can scrape your metal. So that's why I usually do not use my weeding tool. So hopefully I can keep it on the paper side and not touch the metal. There we go. It's cracking. And another thing about the sublimation, if you are doing a market or you're having a party or something like that, and you want to use the sublimation on that for an event, you can sublimate ahead of time and then just press it on. So when you print it out, you can always come back and do some sublimation. So I save, if I print something in error or I'm not going to use it right away, I'll save my sublimation designs so that I can always come back to them and test something out if I need to, something I've already printed. But if you're doing like a market or a hot cocoa party or something for the holidays, a cookie fest, you can always do that with it. Or if you want to do gifts for your coworkers and you want them to be able to personalize it, that's a fun way to do it. All right. So once we've gotten this off, all we have to do is add the guts back to it, and we've got a cute little pen. And then you can take that little panda design and maybe do a smaller pen pouch for somebody. So many fun ideas you can do. We're ready to go to the zoo. So there's our seam. You can kind of see it. This pattern, I think, is very forgiving. It doesn't show much of the seam. And then we are going to, it slides right in like that. We'll put the pen back in with the spring, and then you just close that right up. And there you go. And you could have put the, Washington, D.C. National Zoo, or, if you're doing sports, you can put their sports team, Madison Volleyball 2025, anything like that. And then you've got a cute memorabilia pen for them. Well, thank you guys so much. Felicia, thank you for all of your handy camera work. I hope everyone learned something new. If you already have a sublimation printer and some of the different heat tools, or if you're just getting into it. Join us for our future classes. We have some very fun classes coming up in November. I will be here on next Monday teaching a card class. So I hope you join me for that. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.